Today we're reacting to people who outlived insane prison sentences. I be saying it all the time, bro. I feel like max 5 years, like with the mindset like, okay, I'm coming back home in 5 years. Okay, let me just, but almost anything over that 10 years plus, I'm gonna be looking for a way out, and it's a way that I can't say right here on the thing.
This convict outlived a life sentence. Welcome back.
Damn.
Charlie here. These criminals were sentenced to decades behind bars, but lived longer than their prison sentences.
Ain't no way that's that nigga. Who just beat the shit out of him?
From people wrongly sentenced to decades in jail, to dangerous criminals set free after serving more than 70 years. First, we have to look at Ricky Jackson. Can you imagine being in prison for 40 years of your life for a crime you didn't commit?
Nope.
Well, that actually happened to this man. When
I feel like I
Ricky
just seen
Jackson
something
was
about
only
him.
19 years old, he was arrested for a crime he did not commit. Police said he took the life of a salesman named Harvey Stewart. The only evidence cops had was a witness statement from a 13-year-old named Eddie Vernon.
Wow.
Aside from that one witness, there was zero physical.
Oh, you know what? We did see this, y'all. I think I did a video that was that had something to do with like innocent prisoners that got out, or you know what I'm saying, that something along the lines of that. But this was one of the stories.
Evidence. Despite this, Ricky Jackson was found guilty. He was initially given the death sentence, but after several appeals, this was changed to a life sentence. Ricky was sent to prison in 1974. He thought he was going to die behind bars, but in 2013, the witness, Eddie Vernon, broke down in tears. Eddie admitted he did not see Ricky take the life of Harvey Stewart, and instead was coerced into saying this by cops. It turned out Eddie Vernon never even saw the attack take place.
Wow.
This shocking revelation meant that Ricky Jackson was finally released. He was
law,
given freedom in
man.
2014 after spending 4 decades behind bars. But sadly, this meant he was now an old man at the time. Ricky Jackson was given $18 million in compensation. But some say that's not enough for all of those decades.
It's not, but damn. Ooh, I didn't know. They said that in the video I watched.
It's lost. But would you take $18 million to lose 40 years of your life?
Fuck no.
Personally, I definitely wouldn't. Moving on, we have to look at Betty Smithy. Betty Smithy is
That's a
America's
psychopath.
longest-serving female inmate. In 1963, this woman took the life of a minor. For this crime, she was given a life sentence.
What
but
happened?
while she was behind bars, she managed to escape 4 times, although she
Wow.
was caught again every time. Eventually, she decided to stop trying to escape and instead improve her life. She got educated behind bars and began writing poetry. In 2003, Betty applied for parole. She was rejected, but in 2012, she appealed again, and this time she was finally freed. She spent 49 years behind bars, but was finally made a free woman at 69 years old.
Wow.
Some said she should never have been released.
Yeah, what happened? I need to know what happened. Like, it sounds like it just was wrong, period, which, you know, at that point. But what?
To her crimes,
Can I
but
get
the
some
judge
detail?
believed Betty had changed behind bars. What do you think? Is 49 years in prison enough or not? Moving along, we
I don't
have
think
to
so.
look at Thomas Trantino. In 1963, Thomas Trantino got drunk. He then got into an altercation with 2 cops and ended their lives.
Whoa. Like that?
He was arrested a few days later, and in court was given the death penalty. He was on
Right.
death row for 8 years until 1971. That was when New Jersey abolished the death penalty, meaning that Thomas's sentence was changed to life behind bars.
Okay.
While he was locked up, Thomas wrote 2 books. In 2002, he applied for parole, and surprisingly, was released. He spent 39 years in prison, making him New Jersey's longest-serving prisoner. Some people, especially cops, were annoyed that he was released.
Right.
But do you think nearly 4 decades is enough for what?
They not giving enough. What happened with the cop thing? You know what I'm saying? Now, granted, he did kill 2 cops. But what happened with the cop thing? Was he getting hurt? Well, he was drunk too. Yeah, this don't sound like this nigga was supposed to be out. It sounds like he's supposed to still be in there.
What Thomas did. Moving along, we have to look at Joseph Ligon. In 1953, 15-year-old Joseph Ligon was sentenced to life in prison. You see, Joseph had
Bro, they be smacking niggas with these life sentences, bro.
got drunk and decided to do some robberies. This caused 6 men to be injured and 2 men to lose their lives.
Whoa.
Joseph Ligon was found guilty for what he did and was sentenced to life behind bars. Decades went by, but in 2016, the law changed. It was ruled that life sentences for juveniles were unconstitutional.
Wow.
As a result, Joseph was released in 2017. He had spent 68 years behind bars.
Wow. They put this, he was in there for 68. All he knows is prison. 15 years of his life. But at that age, think about how much you gonna remember from when you were 15 years old. I'm thinking about shit from when I was 10, and it's very hard to remember. I mean, I guess you gonna remember a lot from the time that you was 15, and I guess you injured 6 niggas and killed 2 of them. So,
going in at age 15 and leaving at age 83. But
oh my
here's
goodness.
the surprising thing. Although Joseph was free to go, he refused.
Yeah, it doesn't make sense. Because where the fuck I'ma go? Where the fuck I'ma go? Be homeless on the street? I can't get no job. I'm 80 fucking something years old. I don't know how to do shit. I don't know how to do shit. I might as well stay in this motherfucker.
8 years behind bars and was too used to jail life. So instead, he preferred to stay in prison, which is where he still is to this day.
Wow.
Next, we have to look at Charles Ford. In 1952, this man was sentenced to life.
Freedom don't even make sense. When that nigga went to jail, getting out, and I forgot what year, whatever, shit. If he's still here today, 2025, that nigga comes out from when the last time he was in. Nigga, do you know how hard it would be to adapt? Phone, here you go, here's your cell phone. This nigga's body would probably just go into shock. It will probably kill him on instinct as soon as he walked out and saw. I know he gets to see shit on the TV and the news, but when you outside, the air quality just different now. When he gets to whatever city he normally the city air would probably take that nigga out.
Life in prison and spent 64 years behind bars, all for a crime he did not commit. He was not even at the scene of the crime. He had allegedly taken someone's life. Some said that Charles was profiled by the judge and jury, meaning that despite the little evidence, he was still given a life sentence. It turned out Charles's lawyer never submitted an appeal. He was 20 when he went into prison, and was 84 years old when he came out, meaning that he spent a whopping 64 years behind bars. Charles was released into a nursing home as he was too old to look after himself. While he was released, he basically lost his entire life to prison. Are
they gonna give him some money? He getting some money, right? I don't give a fuck if I'm 106 and I don't even know how to use money no more. I better get some money for this false shit.
Charles was released, he began crying in court. Next, we have to look at John Buns. This man is New York's oldest inmate. He ended the life of his wife of 17 and a half years. John Buns and his wife Virginia got into an argument. Things escalated and John used a hammer to end Virginia's life.
Just keep him.
Buns was given a life sentence for what he did. He was said to be released when he was aged 112.
Wow.
But instead, he was released early when he was age 94. He was released in order to get medical care. That's because prisons find it too hard to look after people who are so old. But in 2014, at the age of 94, John Buns passed away. He is still the
This nigga was old as shit.
oldest ever inmate New York has had. Moving on, we have to look at Harvey Stewart. Harvey Stewart is a man who's been to
Oh yeah, you can tell by the way he pointing his finger. You motherfucker. You goddamn you know? He definitely hitting that.
Prison many times throughout his life. In 1951, he was given a 10-year sentence for armed robbery. He was released but was soon put back in jail. This was for ending the life of a man named James Laird. Harvey Stewart escaped prison many times, but was quickly recaptured every time. He was later released in 1985 after serving only 9 years. But only 16 months later, Harvey was arrested yet again, this time for robbing a bank bank.
Yeah, just
This
keep
guy
this nigga
really
in there.
does love jail. He served 59 years behind bars and was finally released in 2011. This was mainly because of his
keep
old age
releasing
and
this nigga.
declining health.
They're like, he can't rob no bank this time.
Was 83 years old by the time he was released. He outlived all of his family and friends, which meant he had no prison visits in over a decade. When Harvey Stewart was interviewed about his time in prison, he said this: "Imagine that, 60 years down in this damn hole. I wouldn't recommend it." Harvey's right, he really did waste his entire life behind bars. I think this man is proof that crime is not worth it. Next, let's look at John Franzese. John Franzese was a member of one of the USA's most deadly mafias. That is, the Colombo crime family. He soon gained a reputation as one of the mafia's most dangerous thugs. He claims to have ended over 50 lives, but he was never convicted for this. Instead, he was given a life sentence for a different crime. That was orchestrating many bank robberies around the USA. He was given 50 years behind bars. In 2011, John was released at the age of 93. In 2011, at the age of 93, John Franzese was given an extra 8 years behind bars. This was for extortion and loan sharking. In 2017, he celebrated his 100-year-old birthday behind bars, and was released later that year. In total, John Franzese spent over 40 years in the can, meaning that he basically lost half of his life. I guess that's the price you pay when you're in the mob. Finally, let's look at James Moore. In 1962, James Moore ended the life of a 14-year-old named Pamela Moss.
Keep him. Keep him. Why the fuck is he even in this video?
He was given a life sentence. While in prison, he did various jobs and also got an education. He requested to be released 20 times, but every time the judge said no. That was until June of 2022. He was finally released after spending 60 years behind bars, but he is now in full-time care and had to have both of his legs amputated.
Oh, okay. Now, I mean, that's a price to pay for it, my nigga.
It's time for you to make your voice heard.
Yeah, that's a price. I'm not mad at that. Guy had a plan. He said, you gonna be out, but we taking them legs with us. That being said, man, y'all let me know what y'all think about the video. If y'all enjoyed it, like the video, sub up, comment up, binge your channel, man. I love you. I appreciate y'all. Great fun. We gone, man.